Here is a quick tutorial to show how we can use decals with Smartify. So if you go to your node groups, append, and you set your import method to append without the reuse data. So every time you append one of these nodes, it will be a new one instead of reusing the existing one in the scene. So if I drag the image decal onto my shader here, my material, I can either apply the decal to a color, like a texture that's already there, or a shader. So here I'm gonna apply on the shader, so on the green connection that's outside the BSDF before the material output. So when I dragged this node in the outliner, I have a gizmo, an image decal gizmo that appeared. For the spherical mask, for example, sometimes the gizmo doesn't appear, so you can just toggle on and off anything and it will just refresh the outliner. So here I have my gizmo here. I can simply snap it to a surface, and here in the snapping parameters I can use face projects, for example, and align rotation to target, so the decal will actually align to the surface. I can snap with center as well. So yeah, here with control I can snap the decal wherever I want, and then as a slider on this node I have the boost alpha. So by default any gray value will be totally opaque, but I can calm this down and also play with the overall opacity. So this way you can fade your decal more or less. And then if you select the node and press tab to enter inside, you will see obviously the actual decal we have here. So we can use the image editor to see the image on the side here, and you can pick any other decal you want. And just next to the image you have a shader, which you can edit to change the color, the metalness, the roughness of the decal. You can also add some images, like some noise for the roughness or some special normal. Here, for example, I'll add a roughness. So I have the color texture and its roughness that I can plug to this material, and I can play with the roughness slider to add or remove roughness. Second decal is the displacement decal. So I switched to cycle for this one, but in EV Next, in Blender 4.2, displacement will work in EV as well. So if I drag this displacement decal onto my shader just before the material output and connect as well the displacement, so control right click to cut a connection with node wrangler and enter inside the node, I can refresh the outliner just by hiding and unhiding anything, and so the gizmo will appear. I can snap it where I want, and here I basically have an image decal, an image I can paint in Photoshop or anything that's actually impacting the displacement of the material. And so inside the decal node I can find the image here, the PNG with some alpha, and the emissive. That's not mandatory, but that's there by default, and you can obviously turn it off if you want. And you can also customize this shader, the main one, and the extra shader effect that have the emission, but that can also have like transmission or alpha. For example, here I've used the emissive texture to plug it into the alpha. So instead of being glowy, it's making this transparent. So on the main node here, I can change the color, the scale of the displacement, make it positive or negative. I can boost the alpha of the decal and change the mid-level as well. And so here I will just change the texture, and I will just set the decal height as the alpha or the color of this decal. I could also have a dedicated texture for the the height, but here using the color, I have something interesting. If the material turns black, you can switch to workbench to the viewport shading and back to cycle, to refresh cycle. Sometimes cycle has issue with complex shaders, so you can just turn it off and on again. So yeah, here it is for the decals tutorial.